Hello friends and beautiful people, it's Catherine. I have a message for those of you who are trying to reason out or reason through the unreasonable. And I'm not talking about unreasonable people, although maybe by extension, but what is unreasonable to your mental faculties right now is a changing earth. The landscape that we would use to define reality is changing in a very deep and a very profound way. I'm going to share this in a couple places. We are being invited to look at how we have approached the world that is familiar, the world that is a place of, chaos and a lot of confusion and a lot of misdirection and distraction and sensationalism. All of this stuff is breaking down. I just did a video about that. You can check it out on my YouTube channel at Catherine Massal, or it's on my personal page here. But we are seeing a world that's becoming increasingly more unreasonable. And it's not necessarily that we come to that conclusion because we're looking at how things are all breaking down, although it's rolled up in that. But it's unreasonable because things are happening in such a way that we can't make sense of it. And we're trying to make sense of it from up here. And so you're never going to reason out something that is unfamiliar to us, something that is completely foreign territory to us. And what is foreign territory to us at this point is a new earth, a new world, moving into a higher bandwidth of energy that has not been seen or has been part of the awareness here on this planet up until this time. We are in completely new territory. It's very unfamiliar. It feels new, looks new, smells new, tastes new, and yet we're still trying to reason it out with the same ancient workings of a mind that's always trying to look for things to fit together and make sense. So, my doggy just ate and he's very happy. So, this is us trying to reason through the unreasonable. And as we go forward and increase the bandwidth of this planet, because when we're talking about New Earth, we are talking about moving into a higher consciousness level. We're talking about ascension consciousness, elevated consciousness, a level of awareness that is more aligned with who we are in our divinity than it is in our dense humanity. That doesn't mean that we get to scapegoat the body or make less important or discount our humanity, because it's all coming with, it's all on the ascension ride. But it is about knowing that just the familiarity of this package here and the lower density that it's been vibrating in, this is not all there is. Even if it's been the most familiar thing in your life and it's the thing that you've become accustomed to, even if it's a level of reality that doesn't feel very wholesome or beneficial to you, this is what we got, okay? This is what we're working with. And it is our only filter of experience. So even if you are trying to negate the body and just focusing on all things spiritual and esoteric, you still only have one filter to experience all that with, and that is this, okay? But when we stay in a particular density, the world, as it continues to turn and evolve and accelerate into ever higher bandwidths of energy, is going to become more unreasonable to you. And we're going to still try to come at it with the same kind of approach, looking to the mind to make sense out of a reality that it has no connection to, it has no bandwidth in which to kind of extrapolate information or interpret or transcribe information. The mind can only work with the part that is known or familiar or comfortable. Whether it's known by you personally or known through the collective energetic or collective consciousness, the mind can only suss out or reason things out or make sense of things on that level. But where we're going, we've never been before. Not as a human species, not as earthlings, if you want to think of it that way, or those who gravitate in a 3D bandwidth of energy. We haven't been here before. This is all new territory. It's going to feel unreasonable. Things are breaking down. Things are moving and shifting. It's in such a fashion that it's so fast. Our bodies, our minds are trying to find ways to catch up with it. And this is going to cause disturbances in the nervous system. It's going to send you into kind of anxiety tailspins here and there. That's going to be the case. It doesn't have to be. But I invite you to be with this just for a moment. That a new approach is not only an invitation that's on the table for us, but it really is a requirement. Because we're not going to try to make sense out of a reality that we created out of chaos and lack with just this. That's not to say that we discount the mind either, or that the mind is inefficient and clunky. No, it is that this was always meant to take direction, not necessarily to give it from a default place. Because when the mind gives direction from a default place, it's just working with all the programming that it's been built up with. The new approach is to be in heart-based, heart-led frequencies. And I know that sounds nebulous, but I'm going to talk about a very simple way to break this down in a second. The new approach is to take where we feel pulled by, and this kind of gentle softness that is pulling us in the heart, asking us to pay attention to more of our natural, inherent, intuitive acuity first, and then use that information to give directives to the mind to tell us where to proceed, to how to move forward next. Because the mind is very good at taking directives that we give it. When we don't give it intentional directives, it just takes the reins and does whatever the default programming says for it to do. Okay? So everything about our procession into New Earth is about being intentional, and not only that, because that's not sufficient, being intentional from a place of solution-based, heart-based frequencies. Our new approach is being able to not only dig into new tools, but practically apply them to everyday key areas of our lives and all our exchanges, all of our relationships, how we relate to people, money, situations, the collective at large, institutions that are also experiencing their own process of crumbling. Everything is about, in going forward on New Earth and proceeding in integrity with New Earth, about being led by the heart first and then using that to give the mind the directives on how to proceed next. And so I've been talking about my metaphysical mentorship and everything about my passion for building out this container that is a year long, basically, sort of, because it started back in end of March. Everything about building this out, the passion behind it, the impetus behind it, the major nudge from the universe that got this going for me and putting this in place was about learning this approach, and not just learning it. We're not just gathering information anymore. A lot of us equate our ascension journey with gathering information. That's not complete. It's not just gathering information. It is about using that knowledge and applying it. That's wisdom. Wisdom is applied knowledge. And we're never going to get to unity consciousness without wisdom. We're never going to get there without wisdom. Knowledge is not sufficient in and of itself. So we're not here just as information gatherers. We're here to take this information and apply this knowledge so that we can use this wisdom as fuel, as fodder, as jet fuel to bring unity consciousness in as the directive for this planet. And the reason behind all the actions that we take, all the feelings that we can embody, all of the ways of thinking that this mind can then take cues and directions from. Does that make sense? And so it's not overnight. It's not going to happen in a 5-day program. It's not even going to be happening in a 3 or 4 month program. So that's why I decided to build this out as really more than 8-month program. And everything about this container is about learning the new approach of being heart-led. And so what does that mean? I know that sounds jargony and it sounds like really nebulous and kind of unreachable. Heart-led is about knowing that we all have an inner tool. We all have an inner voice. We have inner guidance. We may have systematically ignored it, but we all have this. No one on this planet is without intuition. We may not exercise it as the muscle that it is and get the most out of it and use it as the guidepost and navigation tool that it is. But that doesn't mean that you can't start doing that right now. Some of us are operating at different, very highly attuned levels of intuitive acuity, meaning we're really tuned in, we're really paying attention to the cues and clues and where our body is speaking to us, where heart is speaking to us, and where we feel this kind of gentle, soft pull, because it never feels like force. Some of us are really good at that. And some of us are just learning this. Some of us are just waking up to this voice within us. It's always been there. It's never not been with us. But some of us are just starting to cue in and make availability for this voice to kind of take up real estate within us and to be a guiding tool, which is what it was always meant to be. And so even though we might be operating in different levels of intuitive acuity, it is all signaling that we have the ability to be led by the heart. Because the intuition speaks to us through the heart, it speaks to us through the belly, it can speak to us through any part of the body, really, that we're more tuned into. Some of us feel intuitive in our big toe. Some of us feel intuitive in our belly. Some of us feel it in the heart. Some of us feel it in the throat. It doesn't matter where it is. But this voice is always speaking to you. It is always a guiding light within you. To the degree that we pay attention to it or not is an entirely different discussion. But it's always our ability when we listen to this voice and pay attention to it and follow that directive, that we align ourselves with heart-based frequencies. We allow ourselves to be led by love, led by the heart instead of by the mind. And I wouldn't say necessarily that we've had this backwards approach all this time in leading with the mind first and then maybe hoping the heart will follow, or actively negating the voices of the heart in favor of the head. Not going to say that outright, although I could. But we can see where over-rationalization, over-intellectualization of spiritual experiences, and just experiences in general that can't be defined or explained or encapsulated by the workings of the mind, these are what the mind thinks of as unreasonable. And if you keep moving forward through an ever-accelerating timeline of these unreasonable things, you're not going to feel in alignment with your heart. You're not going to feel in alignment with a greater destiny of yourself. No matter what you're trying to call in, what desires that you have, you can have the juiciest desires available. But if you keep trying to reason them through from up here first, and then hoping the heart will follow, or even blatantly ignoring what's in the heart, you're going to continue to be uncomfortable. I could guarantee that. It's really dumping out right now. I was hoping to take my dog for a walk. It's not going to happen. But I'm here talking to you, so maybe the universe set up the perfect storm, pun intended, of circumstances for us to have this conversation. So does this make sense? And are you starting to notice where maybe you've been in situations that keep cropping up because we create little consciousness loops for ourselves when we keep trying to go at something or approach something with just the mind, and then we feel like, but there's something missing here, there's something that's left out, this feels really piecemeal, doesn't feel complete. That's because we've left the heart out of the conversation. And it's okay. Bob Proctor said the goal should always be unreasonable. There you go. Wise man, rest in peace, right? So if you're leaving the heart out of the conversation, you're going to be increasingly uncomfortable because the energy that is rising on this planet is heart-based. So you ignoring the notions, the nudges, the messages, the downloads that are filtering in through the heart, you ignoring those more and more in favor of rational analysis in the mind, you're going to feel constantly like something is left out of the conversation here. Something feels incomplete. I feel incomplete. I feel like I'm not working with all the information here. That's because you aren't. Does that make sense? So what is your remedy for that? Are you working with ways to employ this different approach? Or do you need some help? Because I've designed and built an entire mentorship around the teaching of, the instrumentation of, the application of being led by the heart and being in alignment with love-based, solution-based, heart-based frequencies. This is not some lofty thing and this pie in the sky ideal. This is where the earth is going. And you can go la 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 and pretend till the day is long that this isn't happening. It's not going to change the trajectory of things one bit. So this play, this choreography that we have with ourselves, because you're not playing this game with anyone else other than yourself, but it's this beautiful kind of rote choreography that we have where we're having this little dance, we're having this little play with ourselves that we're going to keep coming at problems and interfacing with challenges in our life from the same mental energy and then hoping for something different to take hold. Good luck. Let me know how that turns out. And I hate to be dismissive when I say that, but when you talk about this as much as I do, and it seems to fall on deaf ears as much as I experience it to, you tend to get a little more vocal in how you want to talk about it. And I couldn't be breaking this down into simpler terms, I don't think. But I'm happy to help you if you have questions with that. So this entire metaphysical mentorship is built around this, and it's helping you to look at all key areas of your life in working this out, in applying this, in taking this intuitive acuity. We're going to spend the entire month of June working on the nervous system so that it can hold more light, so that when you're more intentional with your energy that's coming from the heart, you can teach the nervous system how to not get spun out in a feeling of unfamiliarity. It's like reestablishing the nervous system to a new normal of, we're going to lead our lives now from a place of love and solution-based energies instead. This might feel unfamiliar to you at first, nervous system, but I'm going to teach you how this goes. Because the truth about why we're here is not that we were given these inefficient, clunky bodies that were meant to hold us back from our higher divine destiny of ascension. We were given these bodies to use as a tool that we could teach, we can understand how magnificent the body is and how it's learned to evolve over time. We are in such a fast-paced, technologically advancing world, that the body, yes, is having trouble catching up with all of this, but I would argue it's doing a pretty fabulous job. The body is willing to learn. We can teach the body. And when we are in that resonance, that remembrance of who we are as divine beings, this is our objective observer standpoint. This is the higher vantage point from which we can teach the body how to evolve, how to hold more light, how to hold certain frequencies in the nervous system without going into crisis. And so everything about the next few months and going into the end of 2022 in Tao of the Divine Disruptor, this metaphysical mentorship, is about bringing you these new tools, a new approach, so you can help teach the body how to hold heart-based frequencies and have this become habituated and familiar within you instead of just this, or instead of prizing this over this. So the price on this mentorship, the way I've designed it, is incrementally increasing through August. So right now it is $1,500, which is an amazing investment for the opportunity to work together in this intimate group mentorship through the end of the year. I've charged that for 6-week programs, but this has a different energetic on it. It just does. But the price is going to be incrementally increasing through the next few months. The price on this program goes up to $19.97 on Monday, which is still an incredible investment price to work together and to learn new tools and to teach the body how to handle and align with heart-based frequencies in a way that doesn't go into crisis, and it can grow and evolve from that in much more expansive ways. This is an incredible investment. If this calls to you, I invite you into this program. You can actually get in for as little as $267 because there's a payment plan for this. So Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, the price of this container goes up. Why wait? And why wait until July when it goes up again? Or why wait until August when it goes up again? As we continue to increase the value in this container, the investment will reflect that. I hope you'll come join us. Thank you for watching. Lots of love and peace. Bye-bye.